He started touching her romantically. Looking up from her Bible, Sister Joy shouted, "Oh, you worldly people!" She said with an air of piety, "I refuse to be led astray. Please understand, my husband, I am fasting and intimacy is out of the equation." Marital delivered a passionate sermon on dress code, urging his followers to dress like heavenly people and to shun makeup and other worldly practices. Hi lovelies, meet Sister Joy, a beautiful young woman known for her striking beauty and fervent devotion to her faith. Sister Joy was admired by many. She was married to Olu, a very handsome, diligent and loving man who adored her deeply. But her life is about to be changed forever. Before we dive in properly to this amazing and beautiful story, please subscribe to our channel for more beautiful stories like this, and please share to your loved ones too. Now, let's dive in properly. Sister Joy and Olu's marriage was a testament to mutual love, respect and shared dreams. Olu worked as a carpenter and he was known throughout the village. Joy, on the other hand, was a nurturing soul, tending to their home and engaging in community activities. Their days were filled with simple joys, shared meals, laughter with neighbors. Their bond was unbreakable, and their love for each other was evident in every gesture and word. One sunny afternoon, a handsome young man arrived in the village, claiming to be Pastor Emmanuel. He was tall and charismatic, with a presence that commanded attention. He introduced himself as a messenger of the gospel of liberation and the heavenly race, promising spiritual freedom and divine blessings to all who would listen. Curiosity spread through the village like wildfire, and soon Pastor Emmanuel's gatherings were filled with eager listeners. Sister Joy was among those captivated by his words. She felt a stirring in her soul, a desire to be part of this heavenly race Pastor Emmanuel preached about. Olu, her husband, though a devout man himself, was more skeptical. He valued their peaceful life and worried about the intense devotion Pastor Emmanuel demanded from his followers. "My love, we have a good life," Olu said one evening as they sat together. "We don't need to change everything to follow this new pastor. Our faith has always been enough for us." But Joy was undeterred. "My husband, Pastor Emmanuel speaks the truth. He says we must dedicate ourselves fully to the path of righteousness to achieve this true liberation. I feel called to follow his teachings." Despite Olu's reservations, Joy began attending Pastor Emmanuel's sermon regularly. She spent more and more time at the church, immersing herself in prayer and fasting. She spent countless hours at the church, attending every service, prayer meeting and events. Her aim was to be seen as a devout and holy woman, worthy of admiration. One evening, Olu returned home after a long day at work, eager to spend some intimate time with his wife. He found her in the living room, deeply engrossed in reading her Bible. He approached her gently, hoping for a quiet moment of closeness. "Joy, my love," he began softly. "I've missed you today." He started touching her romantically. Looking up from her Bible, Sister Joy shouted, "Oh, you worldly people!" She said with an air of piety, "I refuse to be led astray. Please understand, my husband, I am fasting and intimacy is out of the equation." Olu's eyes widened in shock. He knew that Joy's devotion to Pastor Emmanuel's teaching had grown intense, but this was the first time she had denied him so sternly. "But Joy, we are husband and wife. Our bond is also sacred," he pleaded. Joy closed her Bible and looked at him with a determined expression. "Please, I am following Pastor Emmanuel's divine instruction to pray and fast without worldly distractions." Olu sighed deeply, feeling a mixture of anger and helplessness. "My love, we have always respected each other's faith, but this feels like you are choosing the church over our marriage. We can find a balance, can't we? Their conversation quickly escalated into an argument. Joy quoted more scriptures to justify her actions, insisting that her fasting and prayers were necessary for their spiritual growth and protection. Olu countered, arguing that their marriage needed nurturing and intimacy as well. Joy, I am not against your faith, but it feels like I'm losing you to this new way of life. My husband, I am doing this for us. Pastor Emmanuel says that our dedication will bring us closer to God's blessing. You must trust me. Exhausted and disheartened, Olu finally gave up the argument. He realized that no amount of reasoning would change Joy's mind that night. With a heavy heart, he left the room, feeling more alone than ever. One Sunday, Pastor Emmanuel delivered a passionate sermon on dress code, urging his followers to dress like heavenly people and to shun makeup and other worldly practices. He declared that true believers must present themselves in modest and unadorned attire to reflect their piety and dedication to the heavenly race. Sister Joy listened intensely, her heart swelling with renewed zeal. She took Pastor Emmanuel's words to heart, convinced that this new level of devotion would bring her closer to divine blessings. A few days later, Sister Joy emerged from their home wearing an outfit that would indeed shock the angels. She had wrapped herself in layers of plain fabrics that covered her from head to toe. Her face was devoid of any makeup, her hair tightly covered with a scarf. The transformation was startling. Olu returned home from work and was met with the sight of his wife in this new attire. His eyes widened in disbelief. "My love, what are you wearing?" he asked, struggling to mask his shock. "This is my new attire, my husband. Pastor Emmanuel says we must dress like heavenly people, free from worldly influences." Joy replied with a serene smile. Olu was dumbfounded. "But my love, you don't need to go to such extreme. Our faith should reflect in our hearts and actions, not just in our appearance." "My husband, this is a sign of my commitment. I want to be closer to God and follow Pastor Emmanuel's teaching to the letter." Their conversation quickly turned into a heated discussion. Olu tried to reason with her, emphasizing the importance of moderation and balance. "Joy, you are beautiful as you are. Our faith is important, but so is our life together. We don't need to turn up our personal joys and expressions. What do you know, Kwana, about spirituality?" Joy thundered back at her husband. "Pastor Emmanuel knows the way to true liberation, and I trust his guidance." Feeling a mix of frustration and helplessness, Olu sighed deeply. He loved Joy and respected her faith, but he struggled with the changes that seemed to be taking her further away from the woman he knew and loved. One morning, a commotion erupted in the village. News spread like wildfire that 7 of the village church maidens were pregnant, and each of them pointed the same man, Pastor Emmanuel. The pregnant maidens began to share their stories with the community. They recounted their harrowing experience with Pastor Emmanuel. They spoke of how he would invite them for private prayers and deliverance sessions, promising them spiritual liberation and blessings. He would tell us that the path to true deliverance required personal one-on-one prayer sessions. One maiden named Adana explained tearfully. He said that these sessions were necessary to cleanse us of evil spirits and to bring us closer to God. And I believed him. He would use scriptures to justify his actions, making me feel like it was part of God's plan. He told me that what we were doing was sacred and that I must never speak of it to anyone. As the villagers listened to these testimonies, a wave of anger and sorrow swept through the community. They realized the extent of the deceit and exploitation that had taken place. The parents of the maidens, who had trusted Pastor Emmanuel with their daughter's spiritual guidance, felt a deep sense of betrayal and grief. The villagers was in uproar, disbelief and anger sweeping through the community. Sister Joy stood in stunned silence as the accusation against Pastor Emmanuel were made public. Her mind raced, trying to reconcile the image of the pious man she had devoted herself to with the horrifying truth now emerging. She felt a deep sense of betrayal and shame as she realized how clueless and gullible she had been. Parents of the pregnant girls demanded justice, their voices raising in anger and despair. Just then, the sound of police sirens pierced the air, and a convoy of police vehicles arrived in the village. The officers quickly made their way to the church, where Pastor Emmanuel was seen with big packed bag about to run out of the village. He was taken into custody, handcuffs clicking into place around his wrist. The villagers watched in a mix of shock and relief as the police escorted Pastor Emmanuel out of the church. One of the officers addressed the crowd. Pastor Emmanuel is a wanted man, accused of similar acts in other villages. He has been using his position to exploit young women and spread false teachings that had led to many broken homes. As the reality sank in, Joy felt a mix of disbelief and betrayal. How could she have been so naive? The man she had revered and followed had deceived not just her, but the entire village. The feeling of shame was overwhelming, and she struggled to reconcile her faith with the actions of Pastor Emmanuel. Months passed, and the villagers began to recover from the shock of the scandal. Families slowly started to mend, and the community worked together to support the pregnant maidens and heal the wounds left by Pastor Emmanuel's deceit. The village elders, after much deliberation, decided to bring in a new man of God, Pastor Samuel, to sanitize the village both spiritually and physically. Pastor Samuel was known for his humility, wisdom, and genuine dedication to his congregation. He arrived with a mission to heal and rebuild. At his first sermon, Pastor Samuel addressed the villagers with a calm and reassuring voice. "My brothers and sisters, I am here not just to lead you in faith, but to help us all unlearn the wrong teachings that had led us astray together. We will restore our community and our faith in God." He began by teaching the villagers the importance of discerning true faith from false prophets. True faith comes from within, he said. It is shown in love, kindness, and the way we treat each other. It is not about outward appearances or extreme sacrifices, but about living a life that reflects God's love and grace. Pastor Samuel held workshops and discussions, encouraging the villagers to share their experiences and questions. He helped them to understand the scriptures in a way that emphasized love, respect, and integrity. He also organized community activities that promoted unity and cooperation, from cleaning the village to helping those in need. Sister Joy attended these sessions, eager to rebuild her faith and learn from her past mistakes. She found solace in Pastor Samuel's teaching, which were rooted in humility and genuine compassion. Slowly, she felt her sense of trust and hope being restored. As Pastor Samuel continued his teaching, he touched upon the subject of personal appearance and hygiene. My brothers and sisters, dressing beautifully and smelling nice is never a sin. God is not a God of dirtiness or uncleanness. We are created in His image, and it is good to present ourselves with dignity and grace. We should dress and appear beautifully, reflecting the God we worship. These words struck Sister Joy differently. She felt a pang of shame as she remembered how she had zealously followed Pastor Emmanuel's teaching, dressing in drab and unkempt clothes in the name of holiness. She realized that in her pursuit for piety, she had neglected the simple joys of presenting herself beautifully. Encouraged by Pastor Samuel's words, Joy decided to embrace a new approach. She began emerging from their home in elegant, colorful outfits that highlighted her natural beauty. She presented herself neatly and with pride, understanding that her appearance could also honor God. This change was not just external. Joy truly felt good inside, rediscovering a sense of self-worth and confidence she had lost. Olu was the happiest with this transformation. He had always loved Joy's natural beauty and vibrant personality, and seeing her embrace this again filled him with joy. They spent more time together, rekindling the affection and intimacy that had been strained by past events. One Sunday, Pastor Samuel addressed an issue that had caused significant tension in Joy and Olu's marriage. In no form or time of prayer, he preached, should a woman deny her husband intimacy. Marriage is a sacred bond, and intimacy is an important part of that relationship. Prayer and fasting should bring you closer to each other, not create barriers. Joy felt a weight lift off her shoulders as she heard these words. She has struggled with these aspects of her faith, often feeling torn between her devotion for religious practices and her love for Olu. Pastor Samuel's guidance helped her to see that through faith, she strengthened their bond, not weaken it. That evening, Joy and Olu sat together, reflecting on Pastor Samuel's teachings. My husband, Joy, began softly. I realize now how misguided I was. I want to honor our marriage and our love as much as I honor my faith. Olu smiled. My love, seeing you embrace yourself and our relationship again has been a blessing. I love you, and together we can find a balance that brings us closer. Their intimacy and connection deepened as they embraced this newfound understanding. Joy continued to dress elegantly and take pride in her appearance, feeling beautiful inside and out. She and Olu worked together to nurture both their spiritual and marital lives, finding harmony and joy in their shared journey. The village also thrived under Pastor Samuel's guidance. The villagers learned to balance their faith with practical wisdom, creating a community that was both devout and joyful. They took pride in their appearance and homes, understanding that honoring God included taking care of themselves and their surroundings. Joy and Olu became role models in the village, their restored love and faith inspiring others. Through their experience, they learned that true devotion to God involved love, respect, and balance in all aspects of life. And so, their marriage and the whole village flourished. Thank you so much for watching. If you have not subscribed to our channel, please do. Like and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss out on any of our amazing stories. Bye.